the way you do it. You play the guitar on the MTV. That ain't working, that's the way you do it. Money for nothing and your chicks for free. Now that ain't working, that's the way you do it. Let me tell you, damn guys ain't dumb. Maybe get a blister on your little finger. Maybe get a blister on your thumb. We got to install microwave.
Let's go fishing.
Let's go fishing.
I'm on a mission.
I'm on a mission.
It's so pretty, I'd sure hate to waste this chance. We'll find us a shady little spot, not too cool, not too high.
Well, guys, I went down to Indian Prairie this morning, and I thought I'd put
God.
in there and get down towards Worm Cove and down towards Lakeport and fish it. But once I got down there, it was so foggy. I mean, it didn't raise, and the fog didn't raise again until about 10 o'clock. So I was going to go down there and do some digging, but it was just too foggy. So I just backed out of the ramp there and just put my trolling rods down and started trolling down through there. The farther I went, the thicker it got. So I just slowed down and decided to stay a couple hours there just in Indian Prairie because, I wasn't going to run down through there. Plus, it's having bass tournaments, and there was, the bass fishermen were coming up the canal in that fog, going about 60 miles an hour. So I thought, I'll just kind of hug the bank down here till it clears off. But, it's just time of year it is. I mean, the water's warming up, and the air's warming up, and the ground's still cool. We had some 30-degree nights here a while back, so it's gonna create fog this time of year, and you just got to be careful. But I caught some fish. I caught some fish. That's the main thing. I didn't get a tub full of them, but I am not going to run in that thick fog. If I can see a good ways, I don't mind it. But if I can't see hardly the front of the boat, it's not going to happen. I'm not going to do it. So I I just put the trolling rods out and started down through there, and I caught some fish. There was like 3 other people in there trolling too, and I was watching them. They were catching a few fish too, but the fish weren't really big. I mean, they're just legal, and some I caught a lot of little ones, but me, I don't mind that. I caught a lot of little ones, but it's just a challenge. This fog thing it'll stop here in another couple weeks when it gets warm at night and everything gets kind of regulated on the temperature of the water and the ground and the air stuff. But like I said, that cold weather, it's kind of you're going to have fog. That's just the way it is. I turned the live target on and I seen some fish, so that was a good deal. And they were about, it's about 10 foot, 15 foot. The water's really dropping. I can see it. When I put in, I could see it on the rocks there at the Indian Prairie. That's really dropping. And the fish are pulled out. I mean, all the fish I caught were right in the middle of the canal. And the fish weren't up on the bank. They were right in the middle of the canal. But yeah, that's just the way it is, like I said. But my gosh, I'm telling you right now, the full moon's coming up here, and they had some bass tournaments this past weekend. There were several 10-pounders caught, around the lake. I mean, really nice bass. I mean, them tournaments. Tanner won the one with Seabold. Won the one with, he had 10 pounds. I think he had 30 pounds. And Bobby and won the Big O tournament, and he had like 35 pounds. And then I looked at the pictures of them fish, and they were white as snow. So they just, they just come out of the lake. They're out there in the middle of the lake, and they come in there and do their thing. But yeah, Bobby, he's pretty consistent. If he's in a tournament, a lot of times you're just fishing for second because he's that good. He's that good a bass fisherman. But yeah, you can see the fog. I mean, it hadn't lifted. But the birds were awake and they were whistling and hollering this morning, which really nice, and there wasn't a lot of boat traffic in Indian Prairie, which was nice too. I mean, I trolled all the way down to the mouth down there to the sign and took them pictures, and I caught fish all the way down through, but a lot of them, most of them was small, little ones. But the full moon's coming up here in 4 or 5 days, and there should be more of them coming in. I mean, you know, but you can't tell about these fish. I mean, it's just like I always said, every day is different, or every year. Don't try to figure out what happened. Don't look at your calendar and see what happened last year this time, because it changes every day down here. You got to be very versatile. You got to be able to go in there and just try a little bit of everything. I've seen some people using bobbers or minis. I really didn't see them catching a whole lot with the bobbers and minis, and I seen one guy jigging along the bank here, and he was way ahead of me, and I kind of watched him there for about, I don't know, 20 minutes to a half hour there as I was coming up on him. I never seen him pull fish off the bank, but I could see why, because the guys out trolling in the middle were catching them because the fish were out in the middle. And you know, it's kind of interesting. Some of them were suspended about 2 foot under the water, and then there was some right on the bottom. Who figured? You know, who figured? I mean, but I put the weights on some of them. I caught some of them. Then I put some up in the air, and I caught some about 2 foot off the top of the water, the lake or the canal. But well, you know, that's what I said. It's a challenge every day. I mean, and that's what I love about it. I mean, every day I'm going out there and say, well, I'm going to do this, do that. And it don't always work, you know, it just don't always work. But yeah, there's several fish right down there at the mouth. I mean, my live target, it lit up when I got down there, so. But you can see the size of them. They're pretty small, you know. I mean, they're not. There's not too many 10-inch ones. I mean, there's a lot of them just about 7, 8 inches. Not much wind. I mean, it was flat as a pancake, and as soon as that sun came out, it burnt the fog off. But by that time, though, it was about 9:30, and it was too late. So I wasn't going to run down there because I only fish when I'm out there by myself. Most of the time, I quit about 9:30, 10 o'clock. That's enough for me. I'm not out there. Not out there to kill myself, you know. That's enough. And from right there at the mouth of Indian Prairie down to Worm Cove, it's only about 5 minutes that you shoot out there. But I will say this: I mean, if you're going to go down there Indian Prairie and put in, or you're going into Indian Prairie to fish, go way out, because it's only about a foot deep there as you're going out of the channel when they dug that channel out where the big rocks are out there. I mean, it's real shallow now, and it's going to keep getting shallower. I mean, eventually you'll even be able to see the rocks, because they're, you know, it's like it's a 14 feet now, and they're going to take it down another 3 feet. They're going to take it down to 11 foot by the end of April or May. So you know, they're gonna pull it down. So you got to be careful down there. You don't want to tear nothing up. Yeah. Yeah, it cleared off. I mean, cleared off real good. Guys, this coming Saturday, I think it's on the 15th, January 2025. First Responders is having a crappie tournament, and you can sign up at the Sheriff's Department, or I think you can sign up Friday night down at Scott Driver. It's $200 a party, and it's just a good event. Again, guys, Brad Gibson wins it every year. I mean, when Brad's fishing these crappie tournaments, you're fishing for second place, and because Brad's that good too with catching specks. But again, guys, if you've been in law enforcement, or you've been in a fire department, or any kind of even the military, you can sign up and fish the spec tournament. And it's just, like I said, it's good. It's just a good time, and they feed you good, and it's just a lot of good people, and it's people that like crappie fishing. If you like crappie fishing, you can get down there and just kind of mingle and get some good ideas and get other techniques. So again, sign up to the Sheriff's Department or go down to the Scott Driver Friday night, because I think they have a meeting Friday evening, and you can look online and do it. Sign up, I think. But last half hour, getting back to these specs down there, they kind of turned on a little bit, and I don't know, there wasn't no boat traffic, and they kind of turned on right before I was getting ready to quit, right there at the ramp, and I'm getting ready to do it. I'm going to replace all the line on my reels. I broke off on 2 today, and they were good fish. I mean, they were probably 12, 13 inches or more. But it wasn't because it's just I haven't changed my line forever, and I'm catching so many fish. Plus, the ones that's got the weights on are bouncing off of rocks and stuff. And, a 4-pound test, it's going to break. But, it wasn't the line. It was just negligence, me too lazy to retie again, which after you catch so many, you should retie. But yeah, just you can see the other guys down there on the bank down there, and I was sitting there, when I wasn't catching any fish, I was sitting there watching them guys with minis and the guys jigging. They were not catching them on the bank. I mean, they were just not pulling them in. Now, when I was passing there's 2 other boats, they were doing the same thing I was. They were catching them. They were right in the middle of the canal. They were catching them. But yeah, it's just, I don't know, pulling that water down, I think it's got them pulled out. But it looks to me like they have, these fish, these crappie specks have to spawn. They have to get up against something like a limb or a weed or a reed or a tree limb or something like that to do their thing. I suppose they could do it out in the canal like that, if there's any rocks or anything like that, they could do the same thing out there in the middle. But usually this time of year, you can go along the bank there and jig and just knock them. But unless this water dropping, it's just not happening. I mean, years going past, you just seen people up and down through there just, going right behind each other catching them. But not this year, not this year. That's a pretty good one right there. On blue and chartreuse. I mean, I run in, the guy right across from me there trolling up there beside me, he had 2 on, then I had 2 on, and the guy coming up there behind me, he had 1 on. So there was a pretty good patch of them right there in that little area right there. But them guys kept on going, but I let them get out of sight there a little bit, and I turned around, went back up in there and caught a couple more, and turned around, went back down through them, caught 1, until, I suppose the electric motor being, the canal getting shallower, you kind of spook them out of there, I think. So, but, yeah, I mean, I found, I didn't find them. I mean, you just troll down there and you run into them, and I watched the electronics, and I just kept going back through them and catching them, so. And I had the right bait on because they were swallowing it. I mean, they were swallowing that blue and chartreuse. Caught a few on the pink and chartreuse, but most of them were on the blue and chartreuse. Yesterday, when I was fishing, it was the pink and chartreuse. Yeah. Oh, well, that's why I say I put them on, last year I was using white and chartreuse. And I've used some white chartreuse, but I've not picked them up on the white chartreuse like I have the other off colors, you know. These daggone crappie, like I said, these crappie are like women. They like, you know, small things and sweet things, and they like the color pink. They're just like women. I mean, yeah, it was nonstop there for just a few minutes there. I mean, just, you know, fish on, guys. I mean, you know, that's fun. That's what I like to do. And like I said, a lot of them are small, but I didn't care. As long as they're, you know, as long as kind of getting one every once in a while, kind of breaks monotony. I mean, I like catching them giants, but I don't mind catching the little ones either. And the only reason I kept these ones is I promised the guy I'd give him a mess. I didn't want to fool with him. I usually throw them back. I just promised the guy I'd give him a mess, and so yeah, you can see they're pretty nice fish. The ones that I kept, I mean, but the ones that were small, they were about 7 inches long. But the ones that you kept, they were about 11, 12 inches long. So there wasn't no too much right in between. Guys, fish on. Fish on, guys. Fish on. Fish on, man. Fish on. Ooh, this is a good one, guys. This is a good one. If I can get him in. If I can get him in. You know, it's just no matter what. When you're by yourself and you're catching fish and you're trying to control the boat, even though it's remote around my neck, and even when the wind's not blowing, you can watch it. Sometimes it's a struggle to keep the boat, especially in this narrow Indian Prairie, in this narrow channel. And the boat traffic, which wasn't bad today, but it's still kind of a challenge, especially when you get 2 or 3 fish on. But they weren't hitting that great, so I didn't worry too much about it. I'll go down to 2 poles or 3 poles or 4 poles, and not do the 6 pole thing when they're really hitting good. But it was slow enough where I could handle it. But it's still, if you watch me, I'm still kind of fighting it a little bit, trying to keep it, especially when a couple boats are going by. Fish on. Fish on. Fish on. Fish on. I can get him in. Down that line. Down that line. Oh. Fish on, my man. Fish on. Ooh, that's good. Are you getting any help from the back of the boat? Oh, there's one. Yeah, guys, I had a pretty good morning this morning. Caught some nice ones. That in there's really dark. I think that's a male there, guys. I think that's a female. And again, they were right out in the middle. I'm marking them right out in the middle of the channel. And but yeah, I just had another good morning, guys. And I'll show you what I was catching them on. Same old stuff, but you know, the old technique. I put the weight on there and got them down. I caught some without the weight because some of them's about 2 foot down, some of them's right on bottom. So I'll show you here where I was going. Again, guys, this is what I was doing. I was putting a 1/4 ounce slip sinker right there, a bead, and then a swivel, and then of course blue and chartreuse with a MAFIA head. That was a trick this morning. And pink, I caught some on pink as always. But yep, pretty good morning here this morning. But it's all in the middle of the canal. They weren't up on the bank. But they're dropping this canal really a lot. And that's kind of having an effect on the fish too. It's just, I mean, this time of year you ought to down here and just catch one right after another. But I think these fish are kind of don't know what to do with all this up and down, and you know, and the fluctuation of the weather. They don't really know what to do. So I don't know. I had a good morning, yeah, and it's 10 o'clock, so I'm gonna hang her up. I got started about 7, 8, 9. That's 3 hours. That's enough for me.